Okay, I'm here to show you how to cook prime rib, and I decided to make a video because I have a lot of angst over cooking prime rib or just large cuts of meat in general. Turkey, way worse to me than prime rib. It's so intimidating. And the reason why is because if you overcook turkey or overcook prime rib, it's a huge waste. It's gross, it's not good. I mean, some people will disagree, but they are wrong. So every year I make a prime rib for my Danish dinner. It's supposed to be goose because goose is Danish, and that is what I had growing up. But here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, I cannot find goose anywhere, and so we do prime rib, and guess what? It's just delicious, and everyone loves it better anyway, even though goose is pretty good if you've ever had it. So anyway, I panic every year, and every year I scour the internet and try to find, like, how am I gonna cook it this year? And I wonder, is it gonna be overcooked? Is it gonna be undercooked? Is it gonna be juicy enough? It's gonna blah, 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 blah. And I just decided, you know what, enough of this. I'm just going to have a go-to method that I use every single year so that I can just skip this step. I mean, doesn't that just make sense? So this is the method that I landed upon. I used to think I needed to use a meat thermometer. Now, it's a very wise idea. Meat thermometers are really the only way to know when your big roasts are actually done and cooked to temperature. I do that for turkey. However, with a prime rib, I abandoned that. I found that either just something went awry. Either my meat thermometer was not working that year, or I suspected it was not working, or I couldn't find it, or I had to buy a new one, whatever it was. And so I like this method better. And that method is this. You get a prime rib, you slather it like you soften butter. For this 6-pound prime rib, it is 2 sticks of butter, 7 cloves of garlic chopped up. I got this recipe from Tasty, this prime rib. It works great. 2 tablespoons of salt, a tablespoon of pepper, and then a bunch of thyme and rosemary. Okay, fresh thyme and rosemary. And I would say I probably put a couple tablespoons of each in here. And then you just slather it all over this little juicy roast. And you're supposed to bake it on a rack. Well, I lost my roasting pan in the last move and I don't have a rack, so look at what I've done. Can you see? This little foil ring, I just take a sheet of foil out and then I wad it up and make like a half circle, and then I do it again, and then I just hook it together and put it on the bottom of my baking dish, and voila, a rack, a homemade rack. It works fine. And then I'm gonna preheat my oven to 500, stick this thing in here and cook it exactly 5 minutes per pound. And listen, I don't trip myself up with all this math because I am not great with math. So this is what I do when your roast doesn't exactly weigh, exactly 3 pounds, exactly 5 pounds, exactly 6 pounds. This roast weighs 6 pounds, 0.13 ounces. That's pretty dang close to 6 pounds. And I kind of look at it like this. If whatever meat I'm cooking is closer to the, pound and a half mark, so if this was 6.50, 6.53, or 6.45, almost the 6.5 pounds, then obviously I'm gonna add 2.5 minutes to my cooking time. Why? Because we cook it 5 minutes per pound, and if you have another half a pound of meat, you would add 2.5 minutes. I am math smart enough to know that. Now, when it gets tricky is when we get to these 0.13 things, right? It gets a little sketchy. I do the same kind of thing if it's a 1/4 pound. So if it's 50, that's a half pound. If it's 0.25 or around that area, just add 1 minute and 1/4, right? And then the same goes for the other way. If it's 6 3/4 pounds, you would add 2.5 minutes plus 1.25 minutes. I'm probably tripping you up now more than need to be because I'm throwing out numbers. Just take this away. I'm going to cook it for 5 minutes a pound in a 500-degree oven. And then because it's so close to the pound mark, it's just, a little 13 ounces over, I'll wait like 25 seconds before I take it out of the oven after it beeps. Actually, I'm not taking it out of the oven. That was unclear. The whole method is you cook it 5 minutes a pound at 500 degrees, which is a very hot temperature. And when that beeper goes off, You turn the oven off, leave the roast in there, and let it sit for 2 hours. That's it. And after 2 hours, your meat's gonna be perfectly medium rare. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait for my little timer to go off. I'm gonna wait 20 seconds after that. Then I'm gonna turn the oven off and let this little baby sit. And then I will check back in and show you what it looks like after we're done.